Inflation is becoming more and more real. Major commodities are going higher and higher. How will price increases impact your family? And what is the impact to silver and gold prices and availability? Stick around. Welcome to Silver Heist. Thank you to our returning subscribers and guests. We are a channel that likes to hold physical gold and silver. To support my creation, please subscribe. Commodity prices are rising higher and higher. Lumber, copper, base metals, they're all rising, and perhaps precious metals are stabilizing. So is the global economy poised for a big resurgence? What's the cause of this present and future inflation? Are the supplies of silver and gold and other metals bouncing back from the 2020 lockdowns, or are there going to be ongoing shortages? I have a special guest, a CEO of a company with a market cap of over $30 million. I'd like to thank Callinex Metals for sponsoring this video and making their CEO available for an interview to address some of these questions. I consider myself analytical and curious, but I am not a financial advisor. So before investing in physical gold, silver, or any company stocks, please do your own due diligence. Pleased to be joined by the CEO of Callinex Mines, Max Porterfield. So Max, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, great. We're interested in your mining operations in Canada, and if you can shed some light on that, I think our audience would be really happy to learn some things. Are the commodity price increases that we're seeing, is that a result of multi-government money printing, pent-up demand from a stalled 2020, or just competition to get your hands on resources? What do you think?
I think really it's all of the above. You've obviously going to have strong growth coming out of the pandemic and all the shutdowns that were pressed upon everyone by governments around the world. Obviously, some areas are stronger than others. And then this endless money supply is obviously going to be very good for all real assets-based precious metals as well. All commodities in general, because I do think it's rather inflationary in terms of the big change you're seeing in money supply, all the debt that all of these economies are taking on, particularly in the United States. Every debt deal they see is another trillion here, another trillion there, and I think they've lost really the kind of concept of what $1 trillion is. These changes on the demand side and shifts on the demand side can't be ignored, though, is the supply side. So you really had a lack of an investment, particularly on the base metal side of the equation, for exploration and development of these new mining products to come online. And you've had a lot of mines that had kind of been depleted come off. So while you've had a lack of exploration and development, you don't have that mine supply growth that's readily available. So, as you see a big demand shift, supply just can't turn on. It's not that simple.
Yeah, so copper hit a 10-year high today. So where do you see commodity prices heading in the next 2 to 4 years, and what's your outlook for silver?
So in terms of copper, you're right. Copper's at 444. I believe the all-time high. We're very close to that. So we'll see if we crest above that in the very, very short near future here. But I think there's no question I see commodity prices going higher, particularly copper prices are going to go much higher. Goldman most recently came out very, very bullish on copper prices. I think their forecast is north of $7 a pound. So sitting here at 444, there's a lot of upside there. In terms of silver prices, I do like silver. Again, supply constraints are going to be in silver as well due to the lack of investment. Where it differs from gold, silver is going to have that industrial use. So there's more and more uses for silver on an industrial application, in technology applications, healthcare applications, solar, and those likes. So I do like silver and do like exposure to silver. So what metals take on a bigger role with electric vehicles, and how hard are those metals to find? Right. So, a lot of people look at lithium-ion batteries and think lithium, and they look at electric vehicles and they think some of those more traditional, but actually it's the biggest demand driver, I think, for copper moving forward, aside from infrastructure spending, is going to be from electric vehicles. If you look at, I have a classic Mustang, and that classic Mustang has roughly 40 pounds of copper in it. You look at a Tesla Model 3, you're looking over 125, 150 pounds of copper. And then if you look at those larger SUV EVs, some of them have up to 225, 250 pounds of copper. That's a lot of copper on four wheels. And so to get that copper, you obviously you're going to need mine supply for that.
And how about the battery side? What other base metals are used in the batteries?
It really depends on some of the batteries. They're going to have nickel's going to be a big winner in the battery metal space. Lithium, as I mentioned before, copper is going to be a part of that. Zinc, some of those zinc batteries, and I think zinc in general in vehicles is going to be a big proponent. Galvanization of steel. So there's a broad breadth of metals. Depends on which technology that's used. But aside from that, I think the biggest thing is all that infrastructure that goes along with that. Because it's one thing to build the car, it's another thing to have all the infrastructure in place. It's going to really power the vehicle. That's why they call copper Dr. Copper. It's really, you can look at the price of copper as a bellwether in terms of what is the global economy doing. And so obviously it's clearly indicating the global economy is doing very well given where it's at right now. But again, it really keeps a pulse on things because it's really base metals are the building blocks of the global economy. And so to be able to be a part of that, we're quite excited about.
Can you give us an overview of your three major operations in Canada?
So what we're doing in Manitoba right now is we've got a 30,000 meter drilling campaign that's fully financed to expand the high-grade copper, gold, silver, and zinc rainbow deposit that we discovered late last year. And we're really active on that and showing what the potential for that deposit is. In New Brunswick, we have the Nash Creek deposit, which is a PEA stage, which is preliminary economic assessment stage. So it has done some economic studies on it. A zinc lead deposit that's flat lying and near surface. So it might be potentially amenable to an open pit operation as envisioned by that PEA. And what we're really excited about is actually discovered silver in two widely spaced holes, 6.8 kilometers apart. We hit silver mineralization. Again, those are the grades that we hit as silver or silver dominant above the cutoff grade that was envisioned in that PEA. So that'd be, if you're in an operation that's basically your cutoff grade is what kind of grade of rock you need to be that you'd mine it. And so it's well above the cutoff grade envisioned in the PEA. And again, silver dominant. So it's very unique and it's flat lying silver, widely spaced. And so what we're doing to follow up on that is we're going to be doing a drilling campaign later this year to expand upon that discovery and start seeing what the potential there is to add that silver component to the Nash Creek deposit in our assets in New Brunswick. And then to round things up in Newfoundland, we've got in the Buckens district, is again another historic mining district. And Point Leamington is a sizable historic gold, copper, zinc resource. And we're working to update that resource there and have regional exploration at some point in the near future, which we're quite excited about. But really right now, all eyes are on the emerging high-grade copper, gold discovery in Flin Flon, as well as the silver discoveries in New Brunswick.
So the focus is on the Manitoba property.
Yes, Manitoba as well as Bathurst at Nash Creek. We're going to have probably a 3,000 meter drilling campaign to follow up on those two widely spaced silver discoveries. So more often than not, silver mineralization is going to be a byproduct to a zinc lead deposit. Zinc, lead, or copper. Often you'll have some silver mineralization. So it's not too often that you see silver dominant mineralization like we've encountered at those two holes at Nash Creek near surface and so widely spaced. And we believe that there's potential for those to be continuous across that main controlling fault that hosts that mineralization.
Can you elaborate how your company aims to create value for your existing shareholders?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the exploration business. So there's three subsectors in the mining in terms of how you can kind of get exposure. The first is going to be exploration. That's going to be higher risk and higher reward. That's where you can have the biggest wins. Really, in all sectors, it's going to be in exploration. Oftentimes, it's kind of like a biotech stock in many ways, where you're doing research and development for a potential drug. You can look at exploration that way, where there's a lot of tests and work that we do, and then ultimately the test and how you create values through drilling. The two other facets to the industry is going to be the development. Once you make the discovery, you drill it out, then you have to go through engineering work, permitting, and what have you. That's the development stage, and then ultimately production when you start generating cash flow and you finance it to go into production. But we're in the earliest stage, and that's the most exciting, is where you actually make the discovery, going out, creating an exploration thesis and then testing that thesis through drilling, which we've done successfully now in both New Brunswick as well as in Manitoba.
So in Manitoba, your drilling campaign, are you uncovering a good story about copper, silver, or all of the above?
All of the above. So actually, just this morning, we announced our first results from resumed drilling in 2021, and we hit exceptionally high-grade copper, gold, silver, and zinc. It's a polymetallic deposit at the Rainbow. It's kind of one of the reasons it has the name of the Rainbow. But with that being said, we brought that discovery 257 meters closer to surface. So that's in part of the step out. We made the discovery deep, and now we're bringing that discovery and showing it the deposit expand close to surface. But in terms of why it's so exciting and why we have such a large budget for the Rainbow discovery in Manitoba goes to the grade, exceptionally high grade. To kind of give you an idea, the global average copper grades mined is around 0.5% copper. There's a lot of large open pittable low grade deposits, predominantly in Latin America, and Peru and Chile is a large copper producing region. We're hitting a much higher grade. We're hitting very, very high grades. So then, the holes that we announced today were over 5% copper equivalent. So, one of them ran, for example, over 4% copper, 4.3% copper. Some of the holes are up to 1.5 grams gold, half ounce silver in some of the drill holes, and then, 4 or 5% zinc in some of them as well. So it's truly polymetallic. But if you look around the world in terms of copper grades, for example, in terms of how high grade it is, to be in the top 10 highest grade copper mines in the world, you need to be over 4% copper. So to be hitting some of these holes that have gone actually north of 10% copper equivalent, we're very, very excited about.
So the hydro plant nearby, that gives you a low cost energy, but does it also open the door to sort of increase investor interest?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons we had a lot of interest, is not only you can make a discovery, but oftentimes people make discoveries very, very remote. And when you're very, very remote, you're talking big dollars for upfront capital costs, in the billions of dollars in many instances, because you've got to get road, water, power, people, all that needs to go out there, as well as the processing facilities. And we focus our exploration around exploring around these known established districts that have already produced big deposits, that have put that infrastructure there. And now that infrastructure is sitting idle, and all that's waiting is a big discovery to be made. And that's what we've been focused on doing.
I heard that you recently raised some capital. Can you let us know a little bit about your financial position with respect to your drilling campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. We just completed an $8.88 million capital raise. So we're very excited and pleased to have done that with the support from some institutions and family offices in North America, as well as in Europe. And with that, the company has over $8 million in the treasury as of this moment, zero debt. And in terms of budgeting this year, again, the 80% of the budget is going to go to the rapidly expanding Rainbow deposit in Manitoba, where we're going to be spending 30,000 meters of drilling. That's roughly $5.5 million in capital that will go to the drilling in Manitoba. And then we'll also have roughly $500,000 that's budgeted in New Brunswick, which is, again, to follow up on the near surface silver discoveries. Those are very shallow drill targeting, and that's going to encompass roughly 12 to 15 holes across those two silver discoveries as follow up. And then the lower spend will be in Newfoundland, where we're just doing that updated resource and some groundwork on some targets that we're generating out there.
So you have zero debt, and you have your drilling campaign is fully funded.
Yes.
So a lot of your operations are in Canada. How does the Canadian government at different levels view the mining space?
Well, it's a big industry in Canada, mining. It's very well received. It's got a long history. If you look at northern Manitoba, where we've got an emerging high-grade copper, gold, silver, zinc deposit called the Rainbow, you're talking about 32 mines and counting, and over nearly 100-year production track record, and that's coming up to now, and that's just one area of Canada. So that's why we like Canada. It's a tier 1 jurisdiction. You have rule of law. You've got a permitting regime that's established, and you've got the infrastructure in place, and obviously you've got all that's been there because of the geological endowment that's hosted these large ore bodies there.
Are you able to get key staff to different parts of Canada in terms of travel?
Yeah, absolutely. So while some areas of the world actually you had a big portion of copper supply came offline when they had to shut off operations, in Latin America and Peru and Chile because of the COVID pandemic. But what never happened in Canada, in Manitoba at least, is there was no shutdowns of any mining operation. Mining has been deemed an essential industry. And for that, we've had no issues in terms of mobilization, getting work done. And particularly, we've had huge support from the local community in Manitoba and all communities that we explore within, because they do know what the potential is for that area of the world.
Can you elaborate on your permitting status at your Manitoba property?
Yeah, so Manitoba has, again, been a great province to operate in, and clearly they understand mining, given the fact that Flin Flon alone has got a 100-year production track record. So to that end, we have exploration claims in the area, but the Rainbow discovery has actually been made within a mineral lease, so it provides for advanced permitting because there's actually a historic shaft and within about 500 meters of the discovery that was put in place in the mid-1960s, and we renew that on an annual basis. So it does provide for a bit of advanced permitting. You need additional permits, but definitely a head start. The fastest anything's ever been permitted from a different deposit out there, of course, was in roughly from discovery to production about 18 months. I think the permitting in our site case will be roughly 2 years. So definitely, I think something you can permit within this current commodity cycle that will last, I think, several years.
Can you elaborate on some of the members of your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike Maslowski is a founder of the company, a former chairman of the company. He's a member of the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame, and he's been credited with the discovery of over a dozen VMS mines, which is the deposit style that we're exploring for and have discovered in Manitoba. And then Jim Piquel, one of our geologists on our team, is former head of Anglo's VMSR, very big mining operation globally. He also won the Bill Dennis Award, which is kind of like winning the Oscar for the best, best actor or best film for the 777 discovery. And then we also have Alan Valls on our team, and he won the same award for the Lawler mine, which is currently in production in a different area of the camp there. Our technical team has been credited with the discovery of 3 of the 4 largest mines in that camp's history. So again, 32 mines in that camp's history, and our team has been credited with the discovery of 3 of the 4. The largest one was discovered in 1917. So I couldn't recruit that person to join the team, if you understand.
For sure.
So again, they've had a long track record. They've done it before, and we're focused on doing it again.
Max, is there anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't cover?
Well, you can find us if you're interested to learn more on our website at callinex.ca. And if you were inclined to want to become a shareholder of the company and participate in that way, you can do so by purchasing shares on the OTC in the United States. And we trade under the ticker CLLXF, as well as in Canada on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the ticker CNX.
All right. Well, Max, I really appreciate you coming to answer questions with us. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
I really appreciate you watching this informative mining video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like this content. Leave a comment below regarding any follow-up questions you might have for future mining-related videos. Thanks again for watching.